Welcome to A Moment of Xen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Xen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, politics, and entertainment from the Millennial Moms perspective. Here's your host, Xen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful friends and loyal listeners. It's such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Xen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And remember that we're now on TV. Tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch A Moment of Xen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes are now available on demand. We have such a great show lined up for you today. In our influencer segment, we're featuring returning guest Susanna De Mooney. She's a breast implant warrior and voice of breast implant illness. Susanna is known as the Barbie Doll of Instagram with over 5.5 million followers. Today, she's going to be coming on with Dr. David Rankin, who is founder of Aqua Plastic Surgery in Jupiter and Miami, Florida. That's Aqua Plastic Surgery, who no longer performs breast implant procedures. He is the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. And he is here to chat about why Susanna De Mooney chose to explant her implants and expose the hidden truth behind breast augmentation. Now, in our Crypto Frontier segment, brought to you by CCP Digital, we are joined by Chris Pulley, who serves as CEO of CCP Digital and Bad Media Group. Now, he is joined by Alan Scott, who is an advisor to Railgun Privacy Project. The Railgun Project advocates that privacy is a well-recognized human right, and even those who deny it to others expect it for themselves. That claim that privacy and anonymity should be the default, not the exception. That is very true. That our consent should be needed before our personal or financial details are revealed to any third party and beyond. That is very true. We also have a very, very good treat today. In our Millennial Moms segment, we are featuring Julia Roome. She's an 11-year-old recording artist and actress who is going to sing live a cappella for us with her good old guitar. And in my Digital World segment, we are chatting all things women, women in tech, women in the digital process, and women on the blockchain with our regular contributor, CEO of Tempus Network, Shahal Khan. He's going to come on to discuss Tempus's vision and outline as they get ready to position women at the forefront of Tempus. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to A Moment of Xen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Vice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Vice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Vice Cucina 212-757-2600 or online at vicecucina.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Xen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Xen Sams. Welcome back to my Digital World segment brought to you by Tempus, a Burkhan World project. Today, we're chatting all things women, women in tech, women in the digital process, and women on the blockchain with our regular contributor, CEO of Tempus Network, Shahal Khan. And he's going to come on to discuss Tempus's vision and outline as he gets ready to position women at the front lines of Tempus Network. Now, as Shahal gets settled, let's chat gender equality in the tech industry. It is, in fact, still quite way off, but with strong role models emerging, women are taking their seat at the table, and this is becoming more and more common. The question is, will DeFi help women take back control of their finances and close the wealth gap? The blockchain is open access and inclusive to anyone around the world. This gives women a unique opportunity to ditch the regular conventions and take control of their own lives. DeFi is new, but it also represents a huge change in how money moves. The potential use cases for DeFi are global Essentially, it can make connections that no other form of financial technology is capable of. This presents an even greater opportunity for women to get involved in an industry where men have led for over a decade. Some women are already taking control and advantage and bringing education, technical know how, and accessibility of DeFi to other women entrepreneurs. It's fabulous. The women at Tempus, myself being one of them, are trying to change the way the blockchain and decentralization are utilized in underprivileged communities around the world, changing perspectives and breaking fresh ground. In other words, the blockchain provides a mechanism for not only women, but those 1.4 billion people that are unbanked, and allows them to participate in an industry that will in turn allow them to take control of their financial independence. Access is open to all. And here to chat more on this is Shahal Khan. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hi, Zen. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing this subject up. It's so important.
Absolutely. Now, Shahal, today marks the first weekend in March, where, of course, we're celebrating Women's History Month. And as we remind ourselves of the accomplishments of the women throughout the years to our culture and society, everything from science and politics to health and technology, this is a chance for you to, of course, outline for us how Tempest will be leading the way for change for us ladies. Please help us figure this out.
Well, Zen, it's so important to allow women to participate fairly, equally, and as well as get the value of their work. The new DeFi movement, and I'll give you an example of it. In India, we're supporting a agricultural bank that is micro lending to close to 300 million farmers in India. And those farmers in India are the wives of the male farmer. What we found is that the women are a lot more responsible with the money, they account for the money better, and they're able to go and repay a lot better than the men. So we've created a system there where they're able to, where we're able to track what they're going to plant, track how the progress is, how they're doing, and then give them credit to be able to allow them to go out and farm and then sell the product and then do it all over again. So we're bringing almost 300 million families into an ecosystem where the women are able to participate and be the sort of breadwinners or the managers of the family. And I think that's just one example of how this world is changing and allowing, gender equality in places where it was very difficult to have that before. And then, obviously in the West, it's going to be profound in terms of allowing women to enter a level of new fields out there that the Web3 is creating, allowing them to monetize their data and allowing them to participate in the economy in ways that they've never done so before, in terms of community-based lending to each other, co-investment in terms of projects without relying on male-dominated circles. And also it's going to, allow this barrier of entry to be lowered, because in reality, they could come onto the networks and participate without huge barriers to entry.
I love it that we have a male advocating for us gals in the capacity that you are doing, because it's very, very rare. And especially in today's world, in today's economy, in today's political, climate, that we have a male like yourself who's an entrepreneur and a visionary giving so much credence to the female counterpart. So thank you for that. And at Tempus Network, I know for a fact that you are creating an economy that commodifies people's time and enables them to augment their incomes by earning compensation for their engagement with platforms they love through very specifically gamification, because that is something that you pride yourself upon, and what Tempus kind of has built its core on, gamification, right? You envision a world where all people, regardless of their education levels, positioning in society, like you've often said, or even where they live geographically, they can be valued for their time and energy, and the ability to earn in the metaverse, and that's where we're coming into Web3, will be defined by the value of your time, our time, and an equity that we're going to create with it. Now, give me an example of this within Tempus and how you plan to change the model with what we currently see and the companies that are emerging and are really essentially coming out there and promising the world to society, and yet have absolutely no clue what is going on.
So look, we've been taking a long time to develop Tempus. And we're sort of leading in terms of talking about it before it's actually been launched in order to educate a lot of people about how it's going to work. So what we see is when you look at the, let's say, global market in general in terms of demographics, and let's just you split up the population 50-50, let's say male and women around the world, men and women around the world, what you're going to see is the new methods of entry into gamification. It could be gamified education, it could be gamified esports. One of our partners is one of the largest now esports companies in the world. They allowed, some of the most successful players to come on board, which were women, and then women from places like Saudi Arabia, where they weren't allowed to really participate in any kind of sport before. And what we're seeing is this ability to gamify any activity. If you add to that the ability for them to earn, and then communities that support them to help them as well in terms of funding, it creates a loop where the actual person that is learning or that is participating in a sport or doing a charity is now being compensated based on the time that they spend on the activity, as well as the data that they create out of that activity. And that goes behind the actual compensation, which is this Tempus coin. But also it allows the people engaging with that person and then helping and talking, about what that activity is, if it happens to be in sports, for example, to be able to also be compensated. So it creates this loop where it's an open market, and your data and your sovereign data, regardless if you're a man or a woman, is now being able to support you. And that is a premise that I felt was very strong in terms of theoretically allowing women, for whatever reasons that they haven't been able to participate in society, to be able to now get into economics, to be able to support each other, and to be able to start projects that before they weren't able to participate in due to sort of male-dominated circles, especially around technology companies.
Yeah, if absolutely, especially around technology companies. And when it comes to women, I've often said this before, but the problem lies in investment opportunities, not in interest or aptitude. And I always circle back to a report back from 2016 that showed that women left corporate tech jobs at twice the rate of men because the male dominated culture tends to really drive women out. But truly, I see the future of blockchain as inclusive, right? And if we look at further surveys in 2020, a survey by Coin Market Cap revealed approximately, I think it was about a 45% increase in women in business, and the earning potentials of investing in women-led firms at this point is attracting the attention of blockchain companies. There was a specific one that I always point out in the last couple of weeks. I've always said Women Who Code, a great company that I support and love. They just received not much, but $150,000 grant from Algorand to fund their blockchain deep learning curriculum for women engineers. So coming back to Tempus, what were some of the defining moments in your entrepreneurship and where you realized the value of women in your companies and how, this will shape your management team at Tempus?
Well, it has to do with the sort of energy in a place. And maybe I'm sounding a bit too esoteric, but I've seen it with the various companies I've invested in. And I've seen it in terms of when men and women are coming together. Women, and I'm generalizing here, so to a degree, so forgive me for that, they tend to look, because of the right brain, left brain scenario, in many other factors that a lot of men in groups don't tend to analyze. There's a different feeling, a softer feeling, a more long-term approach, a more of a cooperative, less competitive approach. In the workplace, the sort of environments where women are empowered and they're also balanced with men. They're not actually becoming men and, let's say, competing with men in this sort of competitive environment, but there's a balance to that nature where there's that sort of feminine softness, as well as, it combines with the male energy as well. And there's a balance. Those are the most successful teams that I've been a part of, because there's always a perspective that, purely men-based teams don't see. And I think we have to look at each other, men and women, with respect as humans, and not as male or female, but with attributes that both sexes have. Then, when combined through respect, and I would say honor, of those abilities, you end up creating something that is very special and a different sort of energy around a project or a team or a company.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And, at the end of the day, the work that you are doing at Tempus Network is very defining, and it's very, very precise at a time that the world is changing and evolving into this digital process, and where women will be, without a doubt, on the rise in terms of positions in management over the next decade, without a doubt. So I commend you. And I am also thanking you for coming and inspiring us on another incredible segment of My Digital World to kick off Women's History Month. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Zen. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was Shahal Khan, CEO of Tempus Network. And guys, listen, however, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. According to the World Economic Forum, it's going to take over 200 years to close the global economic gender gap at the rate that we're going. So it's extremely vital to ensure that women continue to have equal access to blockchain technologies and education, and companies like Tempus Network are paving the way. Thank you so much for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure. That was Shahal Khan from My Digital World. We'll be right back after this. Definitely check them out on the web, tempus.network, and check them out on the gram at Tempus Network. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Tempus, the next generation of the engagement economy, allowing people to make money on their data and earn cryptocurrency for the time they spend on things they already currently love to do. With Tempus, brands will have the ability to pay you directly for interacting with apps, watching videos, playing games, and more. Tempus, the time is now. Engage and earn.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, coming up in our Crypto Frontier segment, brought to us by CCP Digital, we're joined by Chris Pulley, who serves as CEO of CCP Digital and Bad Media Group. CCP Digital is a decade-old digital advertising agency with really unique access and knowledge in the blockchain and cryptocurrency industries. And this is especially important. Chris and his team offer a very competitive advantage as we enter the era of Web3. Today, he's joined by Alan Scott, who's an advisor to Railgun Privacy Project. He's also co-founder of the DeFi-Con conference, where they're essentially reimagining philanthropy with DeFi. Now, as Chris and Alan get settled into our broadcast room, let's chat Railgun Project. Now, they believe, as do I, that privacy is something all humans instinctually value. Now, the Railgun Project advocates that privacy is a well-recognized human right, and even those who deny it to others expect it for themselves. They claim that privacy and anonymity should be the default, not the exception, that our consent should be needed before our personal or financial details are relieved and revealed to any third party and beyond. And to fully understand the weight Railgun's technology effects is DCG, which is a digital currency group, the parent company of CoinDesk, actually, that FYI hit a $10 billion valuation late last year, has entered into a strategic partnership with Railgun DAO, and that is their decentralized autonomous organization, through a $10 million investment to bring a privacy protocol to decentralized finance, DeFi, that is some news. Wow, very impressive stuff here. Clearly, Railgun must fill a gap in the market and solve the privacy problem that everyone who uses cryptocurrency will come across over the next decade, without a doubt, especially going into Web3. And researchers have warned of the privacy dangers of Web3 and DeFi. Well, now Railgun and its protocols hopes to fix them. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Chris,
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, nice to have you back. At this point, you're on so often, I'm going to change the name of the show to A Moment of Chris.
No.
Now back to Crypto Frontier, because we're on the clock. So a little bit of context for our new listeners and viewers. This segment is now our top 2 in popularity, hovering at 10,000 listeners per hour via all our platforms. And these crypto enthusiasts, and I am one of them, cheer us on all the time. Now, we are bursting with excitement at the potential of blockchain based ledgers, right? To decentralize the finance sector and the web, phenomenon known as DeFi and Web3 respectively at this point, right? And there are many critiques of these two visions, including a recent study, Chris, that found that supposedly anonymous transactions could be linked to personally identifiable information, right, PII, and a new wave of blockchain platforms and protocols seeks to bolster privacy in what many believe is the next paradigm in computing. Talk to me about why there is such a need for Railgun at these pivotal time coming into Web3.
Well, there's definitely a serious need for privacy, and the need is multifaceted. In this instance, we think about the large players. You know, we think about the markets, how big the U.S. market is in general, and how small the crypto market is. And if we're going to see significant investments from the traditional markets and see that high volume come in, there has to be a sense of privacy, because there are large amounts of money being moved around. And these wallets are, you know, currently you're able to see what's in a wallet. If I were to buy something with my wallet, they can see everything in my wallet. And if there is an identifier, now they know everything that I have. So in a sense, from the retail user, privacy is seriously important. And to the largest markets, and for the ability for large capital to come into the crypto markets, privacy is a necessity.
Yeah, well said. And you know, that brings us to something quite interesting. And Alan, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So please bear with me, because I'm a huge fan of the Railgun Project. But we now have all heard about the environmental impacts from crypto damages, and that's one thing. But the less discussed is the impact of Web3 and DeFi on user privacy, to Chris's point. And proponents argue that, well, Web3 will improve user privacy by putting individuals in control of their data via these distributed personal data stores. But critics say that the transparent nature of public distributed ledgers will make transactions visible to all participants is antithetical to privacy, right? So Web3 requires you to give up privacy entirely. Some would say that NFTs and blockchains are all public by default and terrible for ownership and security. What do you say to this?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, right? I don't think that privacy should be, you know, an option. It should be something that people are allowed to have by default, right? It shouldn't be the price that we pay by using crypto. And now people would probably be, I think a lot of people who aren't really used to the space don't really recognize the fact that the pseudonymous nature of like your crypto account isn't private. And in fact, there's a lot of companies out there like Chainalysis and Nansen who are collecting, collating, and then selling your information. And it's all public for people to take and do this. And I think now in this data-driven economy where people are at the whims of like pressure groups, you know, large organizations that are trying to market to them, I think it's never been more important to have privacy, especially if like this is the future of finance and people's finances are going to go to Web3 and DeFi. I don't think that they should be, you know, pressured by these groups by way of their financial privacy.
Yeah, I know, I couldn't agree more. I mean, listen, these studies are coming out by the dozen, right? And one study showed that several DeFi sites rely on third parties and occasionally even leak your Ethereum address to those third parties, mostly to API and analytics providers. But one tracker can access Ethereum addresses in 56% of the 78 DeFi sites examined in the study, which is mind-boggling to me. And those third-party services could, in theory, link the Ethereum addresses to other PIIs they hold about the user. And this study that's coming out about this just opens your eyes to how necessary what you're doing at the Railgun with the Railgun Privacy Project, how necessary really this is, because Ethereum address leakage to Google is particularly problematic because the company likely already has PII about us, which it can then link to our Ethereum address, which then can be linked to your transaction history on the blockchain. So you kind of feel scared when you're coming into this.
Yeah. It's something that people should be talking more about. I mean, even in the early 90s, whenever we were talking about like HIPAA regulations and stuff like this, right? Everyone knew that eventually, like in a data-driven economy, like everyone was going to collate all of this information about everyone, and there would be a digital version of yourself, right? Which collects everything about you in regards to like your attitudes, your achievements, your behaviors. And it's super true. You fast forward to today, you see that, you have companies like Facebook, Google, who are, data driven, and their sole purpose is to take and, collect your information and sell it to the highest bidder. And if that, leaks out to your financial data, it could be pretty dastardly for those who, value their privacy.
Oh, yeah, it could be devastating. I mean, I certainly value my privacy. So explain to us how Railgun is different from other privacy preserving protocols, either Alan or Chris.
Go ahead, Alan, you take this one.
Yeah, sure. I love this question. So the easiest way to take and understand what Railgun is that it is a smart contract system that effectively acts like a private wallet for your ERC20 tokens. So what you can do is take your tokens, put them into the Railgun smart contract, and then transact with those in a private fashion on public ledger blockchains like Ethereum, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, and not dox yourself or the balance of your diamond bags.
Right, exactly. And if we're talking to the average person, one would say, what can you use Railgun for? What's the simplest way that you can explain this?
Yeah, so you can use it to make private transactions, right? If you have to, make a payment to, let's say, anyone in the DeFi space, you can do that privately with your Railgun balance. You can take and do swaps. You can take and accumulate a large position in a private balance. The limits are really the sky's the limit, I guess.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
And how easy is Railgun to use?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with using something like MetaMask or just a DeFi app in general, this will be transparently easy to use. That's the goal. We constantly work to build a really good UX UI experience to allow people to use privacy and not have to worry about the really intense technology that's behind it that makes it possible.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I love that you guys practice what you preach, something a little bit more advanced that really caught my attention is that Railgun advocates to have separate governance tokens for every blockchain on which the Railgun privacy token has been deployed. And as you claim that there is currently no way to bridge tokens from one chain to another in a fully trustless way without essentially some entity within Railgun taking custody of those tokens. But talk to me about this, because why does there need to be a governance token for each chain? Can't there just be one ERC20 governance token for all chains?
Yeah, so at this point, there is no off-chain governance of the protocol. In fact, it's all on-chain. So, and it's fully decentralized. Anybody, in fact, can take and submit a proposal to the governance smart contract and take and have the stakers of the Rail tokens on that chain vote for it. And you really brought up a really great point. Whenever you bridged assets, this tends to be heavily centralized, and there's just no really good way to take and do a trustless and permissionless governance system that's cross-chain at this point. There's some people in the space that are working on it, but it's really nascent technology. So rather than take and risk the security of the system, we've decided to take and deploy governance tokens throughout the system. So whenever we deployed on Polygon, the governance tokens were deployed on that chain, and the list will go on as we deploy on other chains. Maybe in the future there might be a way to take and do cross-chain governance in a truly decentralized and trustless fashion, but at this point it's not really happened.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's great, and it's so unique and proprietary, really, and it puts a nice comfort level into somebody like me who's looking at it from bird's eye view. And what's also interesting, and I think Chris, I want to hear from Chris in this particular case, because you brought up the DCG kind of acquisition here. As part of the partnership, DCG has acquired and staked over $10 million of Railgun's native Rail token and donated over $7 million in stablecoins to the project public's decentralized autonomous organization, right? We've been talking about DAO a lot lately. Do you guys both feel that Railgun's back end is strong enough to endure this high demand? Because there's going to be a level of really high demand at this point.
Well, that's a great question. And, this topic has so many perspectives we can discuss. So when it comes to the investment from a capital firm, I think that indicates how important this is, right? For an investment firm to make a investment into a decentralized autonomous organization with their money. I mean, it's just the sound of that is foreign to so many in the finance industry of why and how. And
well, not to Alan, right? Because to TradeFi, he comes from that background, so it's so interesting because in DeFi, it's the public and immutable blockchain that acts as a decentralized trust source, right? Conversely, legislative bodies and regulators provide public governance in the TradeFi space, and that means that they create these central points of control that potentially limit market access and increase the risk of manipulation, right? Hence the need for your DeFi con there, Alan. So you guys are on this. You guys are talking the same thing there, but it's true. It's 100% true. And so when you're looking at a company, that's coming from TradeFi making a plunge like this, it's wow. Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, it's a really great strategic partnership. DCG. It says it right on their website. If you look at it, they're the epicenter of everything that's crypto.
Everything.
If you look at their subsidiary stack, it's Grayscale, it's CoinDesk, it's Foundry, Genesis. They have a huge hedge fund that they're taking and putting a lot of money through DeFi. And the really great thing is that they've made a really great capital allocation to the Railgun DAO. And above and beyond the capital, they're also dedicating a lot of different resources to us, especially when it comes to the folks over at Foundry. They've been a lot of help helping us develop spin up nodes and do testnet type stuff. So they're a really great partner to have.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much. Chris, thank you for bringing on another incredible guest, but we've run out of time. So thank you both for coming on. Very insightful stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Guys, you definitely have to check them out. Check out CCP Digital on the web at ccp.digital and our sister podcast at Bad Crypto Pod. Also, make sure you check out Railgun at railgun.org and on Twitter at railgun_project. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Vice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Vice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Vice Cucina 212-757-2600 or online at vicecucina.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, up in just a few minutes in our influencer segment, we're featuring returning guest Susanna De Mooney. She's a beauty lifestyle influencer with a very large social media platform and fan base. She's also known as the Barbie Doll of Instagram with over 5 million followers. Now, today, she's coming on to chat about why she chose to explant her breast implants and expose the hidden truth behind breast augmentation. Now, for some, having their chest augmented is a dream come true. For others, that dream slowly becomes a nightmare in the form of a mysterious sickness dubbed as breast implant illness, BII. Now, back in October of 2021, federal regulators placed a so-called black box warning on breast implant packaging and told manufacturers to sell the devices only to health providers who review the potential risks with patients before surgery. Now, both the warnings and a new checklist that advises patients of the risks and side effects state that breast implants have been linked to a cancer of the immune system and to a host of other chronic medical conditions, including autoimmune disease, joint pain, mental confusion, muscle aches, and chronic fatigue. Now, today, Susanna De Mooney is joined by Dr. Rankin, and Dr. Rankin, Dr. David Rankin, is founder of Aqua Plastic Surgery in Jupiter and Miami, Florida, and the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center, West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, he's board certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery and an active member of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. And he's been in practice now for close to 20 years. But in recent years, he has become very well known in the BII community. And interestingly enough, Dr. Rankin has stopped implanting women 4 years ago to focus on specializing and explanting procedures. Now, today, they have both come on, both he and Susanna, to chat about the hidden dangers of breast implants. Welcome to the show, my dear friends.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. Rankin, so nice to have you on. Susanna, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see your beautiful face. Dr. Rankin, I'm going to start with you. Now, throughout your training, typically surgeons are told that breast implant illness is hogwash, that patients are crazy and no such thing exists. What do you say to this?
Well, I think first and foremost, that's false. And I think that many doctors are coming to terms with the fact that implants aren't 100% safe in every patient, and that there's some negative adverse side effects that you can have that can greatly affect your lifestyle from having implants.
Agreed. I mean, recent escalating lawsuits within the industry, as well as websites and social media groups of women sharing their stories, like Susanna, and these autoimmune symptoms following many breast augmentations are very, very real. In fact, it was actually a decade ago, I believe, that the FDA first identified a possible link between breast implants with a textured surface and a particular cancer, anaplastic large cell lymphoma. But only now are we hearing of this. And this is really scary stuff. Susanna, welcome back. Those who suffer from BII symptoms may not appear for months after surgery, and they tend to reveal themselves slowly when they do. You've reported on our show before, you've had pain, inflammation, skin rashes. Some even women report hair loss, brain fog. The list goes on and on. Talk to me about your specific symptoms. When did they start, and how long till you eventually explanted?
So my symptoms started about 10 years after I had breast implants. And the ones that I had were the allergen implants that were recalled. They were the textured implants. And the first symptom that I got was a huge lump under my axilla, my right axilla. And I had done a few biopsies, and it said reaction to a large cell. I can't even remember now, like a reaction to something. And I asked them, could it be because of my implants? And they said no. But one of the major symptoms that I had was dizziness, dry mouth, insomnia, headaches. My heartbeat was like rapid, irregular heartbeat. It was just awful. And of course, the countless trips to the emergency room that everybody thinks you're crazy. And towards the end, I had stated before with you that I just felt like I was dying. I didn't think I was going to make it another day. Each day felt like it was the last day. And I was actually counting down the days till my explant surgery day. I never was looking forward to something so bad in my life. I could not wait to get that done, because I literally felt like I was bedridden for months before my surgical date. So it was just, I know, but Dr. Rankin knows, because he hears these stories from so many women, that it's just, you feel so debilitated and you feel so hopeless when nobody listens to you and they think you're making it up and they think you're crazy, and you really are feeling these symptoms. And I lost tons of friends because of it, because they don't believe you. They think that you're a hypochondriac. And I can tell you right now, I feel amazing. So,
and you know what? You know what's interesting, and this question is really, I'm going to address this to Dr. Rankin, but startingly, there are particular types of patients, according to some of this research, who are at higher risk for illness after breast implant surgery. And they've been identified, and this group includes breast cancer patients who have had or plan to have chemotherapy or radiation treatments. And that represents a large percentage of women who until now were encouraged to have breast reconstruction with implants following their treatment. And what now do these women what kind of recourse do these women have, Dr. Rankin? I mean, do they have a plan B? How does this pan out for them?
Well, it's true. Yeah. There is a implication and direct science showing that implants may cause a certain type of lymphoma. We do see it rarely, but someone who's recovering from breast cancer, that's the last thing they want to hear is that a device put in them may cause another type of breast cancer. So there are different methods of breast reconstruction that don't consist of using a foreign device like an implant. I don't want to get specifically into autologous reconstruction, but there's tram flaps. There's using other tissues of the bodies that can recreate a breast. So those are definitely options. But in my practice, most of my patients are not breast cancer patients, although I do treat them. It's primary breast augmentation patients or women that choose to electively have augmentation. That's my biggest clientele.
About 400,000 women in the United States get breast implants every year, 300,000 for cosmetic reasons and about 100,000 for reconstruction. And like you said, the majority would not be, in that latter, but and that reconstruction, is primarily after mastectomies performed to treat or prevent breast cancer. So this is in fact serious. Now, Susanna, plastic surgery literature as of now is not really supportive of the notion of breast implant illness. And there are still those doctors out there, not like Dr. Rankin, but to the contrary, who believe that this is a psychiatric condition. You made reference to, your friends and family thinking you were crazy, suggesting that women who complain of these symptoms are seen as, delusional or hypochondriacs. What advice do you have to women out there that are feeling that something is off with their bodies and their surgeons are telling them that it's unrelated?
Well, most surgeons, like you said, because augmentation is like one of the number one surgeries, it's a cash cow business. So most of the surgeons just want to make money. And I don't think their main priority is the health of their patient. Like Dr. Rankin's main priority is the health of the patient. And what I want to say to women that are feeling like me and being discouraged is be your own advocate and don't give up, because the only way we're going to overcome this is by do your own research, listen to your body. Your body doesn't lie. You know what you're feeling. Nobody else knows what you're feeling, and keep pushing for the truth, because that's the only way I got there. Is I kept researching and thinking, what is going on? Like, I trusted my gut. I thought it was my implants. I did my research and I was correct. So I don't want any woman, no matter what it is, whatever they're feeling. I mean, doctors, not Dr. Rankin, of course, but most doctors, not all doctors know everything. No,
and I'm assuming that your symptoms subdued after you explanted.
For most women, it was like I hear, the next day I felt better. A week later, that didn't happen for me. It took me about 8 or 9 months until I felt better. But when
eventually you did,
I felt better.
Good. Okay, Dr. Rankin, because we're on the clock, I want to make sure that I get as much information as I can in here for our listeners. But the Food and Drug Administration is also requiring now for manufacturers for the first time to disclose the ingredients used to make breast implant, and information that patient advocates have really been long waiting for, so to speak, right? So what exactly is in these implants that is making women so sick, and is it all implants across the board?
Well, we're not sure exactly the reasons why women are getting sick from implants, and I think it's important to point out that not every woman gets sick from her implants, but it is made up of things that we typically don't want in our body. So there's studies right now through American Society of Plastic Surgery and independent studies trying to figure this out. I think the fact that the FDA is recognizing breast implant illness as an entity and studying it is really important, because it's giving women like Susanna a voice and some hope. And it allows women to have places to turn to get better without being told that they're crazy and nothing is wrong, now that there is a cause and effect that we're finding.
who has never really had an issue, but that decade plus is creeping up. What do you say to them?
Well, if it's a patient with silicone implants, they definitely should have some type of study to evaluate whether there's a rupture or not. This can be an MRI, it can be an ultrasound, occasionally mammogram, but they need to be aware that they can have a rupture and walk around for years, and it can go undiagnosed.
Wow. That is frightening stuff. Very enlightening, though, that this is coming to surface because, like you said, a vast majority of patients tolerate breast implants just fine. But patients, who have ruled out all other possibilities of cause of their symptoms with their primary care physician, of course, and specialist, or those who simply wish to have their implants, who no longer wish to have their implants, can seek out an explant. But it is scary that up until now, women like myself, who have absolutely no reason to believe anything is wrong with me, could be walking around with a leakage. So that's stuff to consider. And what led you to totally practice explanting and ditch the breast augmentation business?
I mean, really, it just happened on its own. I started to do explants on women, and I saw the benefit that they were having. So there's a lot of nuances and challenges with aesthetics and getting a proper explant. I just wanted to perfect myself as much as I could with that. And I feel like I'm helping women. I'm helping those women that, have been turned away and really have nowhere else to turn.
Susanna, thank you so much for bringing on such an awesome guest. We're going to cut to a commercial break. But guys, you're listening to Susanna De Mooney. Check her out on the gram at susanna.dxoxo. And you can find Dr. Rankin directly on their website at aquaplasticssurgery.com or on the gram at aquaplasticssurgery. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now joining us in our influencer segment, we have Susanna Damouni and Dr. Rankin of Aqua Plastic Surgery down in Jupiter, Florida. And we are chatting about breast implant illness. Susanna, welcome back. Dr. Rankin, thank you for coming back on. Susanna, we were talking about being at that 10-year decade mark of having breast implants and not really having an issue with them, such as a woman in my situation, right? Where I don't have symptoms. I have no reason to believe that there's anything wrong with my implants, right? That are about a decade old. And Dr. Rankin just reacted by, really advising that you could be walking around with a leak and not knowing this. You wanted to add some pertinent information.
So I also wanted to say that even if you don't have a rupture or leak, but I will get back to that, the textured silicone implants, they flake into your bloodstream. And sometimes, and if they do rupture and you don't even know, because it's like really hard to tell that they've ruptured because of the way they're made, that if they do migrate, they can migrate to other parts of your body, and that's almost impossible to remove. There's like a girl in the breast implant illness group that actually got kidney failure, and she's on dialysis, and I don't think
Dr. Rankin, what do you say to this?
Well, the silicone implants and even the saline implants are made with a silicone shell. They can what's called bleed over time, so the silicone leaks outside the shell. In most women, that's why they form this capsule or scar tissue around the implant, is to wall it off and to protect the body. There are situations where it can break through the capsule and get beyond the safety zone of the patient's body.
And what's concerning to me is now they're advertising the new implants, the ideal implants, and I think from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they have multiple shells, which would mean that they have multiple silicone shells, which is dangerous for the body. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, everything's still being studied. There's no evidence-based medical paper right now that shows specifically why women are getting breast implant illness. Is it because of the silicone? Is it because of the chemicals? Is it the body's reaction to a foreign body? We don't know. There's further studies that need to be done. So we know women are getting BII. We don't specifically know the cause. So I can't say 100% it's silicone leaking into the bloodstream or what, but I do feel that it's important to understand it's happening, and it's important to get further studies and try and really figure this out.
Agreed. So, to be clear, right? Because we also don't want to alarm 90% of our listeners who have breast implants. But from your point of view, Dr. Rankin, if you just wanted to give some good old-fashioned, advice from the area of expertise that you are now practicing, what would you tell the average woman who has implants, who doesn't have any issues, who doesn't have any reason to believe she has any issues, and she is walking around with no, complaints or pain?
Well, I think that's a very important point, that we don't want to alarm women, but we want to educate them. A woman comes into the office with saline implants and says, I have saline implants. They're 10 years old. I love the way they look and I feel fine. What should I do? Just regular follow-up with your plastic surgeon. If it's silicone, you probably want to consider, although I don't do them anymore, at least changing them out, because eventually the chances of rupture or gel bleed become much higher as the years go on. But when I was still implanting, I was recommending every 8 years women change their implants. Of course, silicone only, not saline, but each doctor has their own algorithm on that. But regular follow-ups with your surgeon, someone that understands, all the complexities of surgery, and that BII does exist, I think is really important.
So I had a question, because I changed my implants probably every 4 years, and I still had symptoms. I don't know what it was from. I didn't get them until, like I said, the 10-year mark, but after that, it was just it got progressively worse really quick. So I don't know what that was. The only thing that I am happy about is now how Zen said at the beginning, how now breast implants come with an informed consent, and that there's a black box warning. So
yeah, that's huge, because if you're going into surgery and you're told there's no problems, there's no complications, it's a lifetime device, well, that's not true. But if you get the risks, the benefits, alternatives, and possible complications up front, then women can make a more informed decision based on what's best for their lifestyle and the risks that they're willing to take.
Which I wish I had that information when I got my breast implants.
Without a doubt, because it's the equivalent of buying a pack of cigarettes and being told smoking will cause lung cancer or smoking will cause you to die. It's that same labeling, and it's that same effect where that the end consumption and the end use could result in something drastic, and that's up to you to decide. But even a decade ago, this was, oh no, these are so safe, and saline is the safest thing, and even if it leaks into the body, it's completely natural. And now I'm feeling very frustrated because of course, I'm going to get an MRI. I have Dr. Susanna Fader, who is my OB, and I spoke to her about this already as a result of having had Susanna on a prior segment, and I'm completely now awakened to this BII that I didn't even know existed up until when I met Susanna.
Yeah, it is a newer, I don't want to say a newer phenomenon, but we're discovering with the women that are getting together on social media, which I think is really powerful because there's no bias. It's all women getting together and talking about what they're experiencing. I think it's very powerful. You look at some of these groups, 100,000 women, 130,000 women, and people can say, oh, well, it's all in their head, or it's all placebo, but those kind of numbers really speak for themselves. And
exactly. The numbers don't lie. Okay, well, Susanna, listen, I know that you have a very strong voice. So before we log off, is there something you would love to add?
I'm just happy that there's doctors like Dr. Rankin, and that you allow us to speak on your show to bring awareness. And I just want women to know, for me, I know I don't want to alarm women, but for me, I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's pretty much common sense, and I should have had it myself, but I just didn't because maybe I was just younger. When you're putting stuff like formaldehyde and talcum powder in your body, I don't think that it's going to be doing you any good. And I would not risk it. That's my advice. I wouldn't risk
Probably
it
not.
for bigger breasts.
Probably not. But thank you for being a warrior. And Dr. Rankin, thank you for just being you and really helping women like Susanna and the many that have had no voice up until now and been deemed crazy to have a legitimate shot at feeling good about themselves and having a healthy outcome. And it's very important. The work you do, it's the work of God.
And I wanted to say that Dr. Rankin helped me tremendously throughout this journey, as well as Kim Barton. They both were just, which she's from the breast implant illness group as well. She has her own IG link. I can't remember exactly what it is. What is it, Dr. Rankin?
It's on Instagram, breast implant illness. Yeah.
And they both really helped me. And I just wanted to say how compassionate he is and how much empathy he has for us women, and what he does is just amazing, and hopefully it's rewarding somehow.
It's definitely rewarding. Well, thank you. We've definitely have gotten a plethora of information here, and this was such an insightful segment. So thank you both for coming on. It was extremely enriching, and I think a lot of women will benefit from this segment.
Thank you so much for having us.
You got it. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was Dr. Rankin, all the way from Florida, bringing it down to Toronto, where our good friend Susanna De Mooney is piping in from. Back here on the East Coast to New York City, of course, where A Moment of Zen lives on 710 WR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Tempus, the next generation of the engagement economy, allowing people to make money on their data and earn cryptocurrency for the time they spend on things they already currently love to do. With Tempus, brands will have the ability to pay you directly for interacting with apps, watching videos, playing games, and more. Tempus, the time is now. Engage and earn. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now coming on in just a few, we have a real treat. Julia Roome, and she's an 11-year-old recording artist and actress from Warwick, New York. And she recently came off of her off-Broadway performance as Penny Pingleton in Hairspray that was performed live at the Vineyard Theater right here in Manhattan. And recently, her first original EP was released, I'm Gonna, and it peaked on the iTunes chart at number 9. You can check her out on her website at juliaroomesings.com, and that's Julia Roome with an E. Now, Julia also has her own rock band and can be seen locally performing at New York venues, playing crowd favorites such as Rockin' Robin, I'll Be There For You, and Mustang Sally. And when she isn't performing, playing some sort of sport, or writing a song, she spends her time with her older brother and sister, who are twins, by the way, with her mom and dad, who are amazing parents, and the family pets. Now, please welcome to the show the amazing Julia Roome. Welcome, superstar.
Hi.
So excited to have you back. You look beautiful as ever.
Thank you.
Okay, what are you going to sing for us today?
I'm going to sing my original song on my EP, Moving On.
All right, here you go. You're going to take it away, and we have a little bit of guitar action going on there.
Yes.
All right, take it away, my darling.
I've been crying every night, too scared to face it all the time, 'cause I don't want to feel like I'm not alive. And know what I think of me, I can never unsee the shadow that I'm hiding behind. 'Cause all the candle lights and all the magic nights and all the special times that I got life. Moving on with my life. Moving on with my life. Moving on with my life.
Wow. And that, in fact, my dear friends, is the voice of New York right here on 710 WOR. Incredible, Julia Roome. That was fantastic. What does your training routine look like?
So I usually do vocal warm-ups, and then sometimes if I'm playing guitar, I do guitar warm-ups. Kind of one first fret, like on all 6 strings, I go for 3 first frets, and I go 1, 2, 3, and the next string 1, 2, 3, and go down the scale.
I love it. And do you do this every day? Do you practice?
Almost every day.
Of course, to sound like that, you have to. Now, we have about a minute and a half left before we break to commercial, but what's your favorite song to sing in the shower?
In the shower, I sing a bunch of songs. Sometimes I like to sing Pink, All I Know So Far, because it's just fun, powerful, strong song, and I like the way it echoes in the room. So
I do love that, and Pink is very empowering. What's your favorite social media platform to promote yourself on? Because you're very active on social media.
I usually promote myself the most on Instagram.
Instagram and YouTube. I know you definitely have a YouTube channel. Okay, so listen, Julia, I heard that the mask mandate is going to be dropping in New York State, and that maybe you won't have to wear masks in school anymore. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited to see like everyone's faces, because the only time I actually see people's faces is when I'm eating lunch. But even that, they just some people just eat very like fast and then put it back on. So it's fun to see what people really look like with their masks off, because a lot of faces have matured since 4th grade. So.
Oh, you said it, my love. You said it. Lots of faces have matured and way before the 4th grade, especially in this year of pandemic. Listen, Julia, we've run out of time, but I'm going to cut to a commercial break, and hopefully we can have you come on very quickly again and share your incredible voice with us. But I just wanted to thank you for coming on, because that was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Guys, you have to check her out, Julia Roome with an E, or check her out on her websites at Julia Roome Sings. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams, welcoming back to the show. We are chatting with the amazing 11-year-old recording artist, Julia Roome, who just sang the incredible EP for us that she just dropped, I'm Gonna, trending at number 9 in the charts. Julia, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Okay, where can we hear your music if one does not go directly on your website?
You can hear it on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, any platforms of anything. And
that's right, you're everywhere. Okay, if let's do some fun Q&A. What is your all-time favorite movie to watch?
So I'm recently into like suspenseful movies. So right now I like to watch Level 16.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Says the 11-year-old. Only a New York kid would say that. And I know you consider yourself a New York kind of girl. You love performing in different venues, especially venues that are not necessarily geared to children. How does it make you feel to perform in front of all of these grown-ups?
I don't really mind it, because I think it's cool that I can perform in front of grown-ups, and for people like grown-ups to enjoy me and like to listen to me, and just not for kids my age to just enjoy me. It's fun to see all different varieties of ages to see that they like enjoy what I sing and how
Everybody enjoys what you sing, my darling. You are trending number 9 right below Adele on the charts. So that's pretty impressive. Now, moving on to something a little bit more worldly. Have you ever heard of the metaverse?
I have not.
You have not. Okay. It's interesting because a lot of kids your age are talking about the metaverse and all its trending facets. But what's interesting is that as a recording artist, you can have your own Julia Roome recording studio in the metaverse, and you can also NFT your music. And that's what I'm going to have you come back to talk to us in about a year and a half when you're on that track. But that's where you're headed, my darling. Now, if you can meet anyone other than the friends and families that you know, but we're talking about celebrities, who would it be?
It would probably be Pink, because I love Pink because of the way she performs on stage and the way she can hold her strength and the way she like flies and everything. And it would just be really cool to see her even just to perform.
Even just to perform?
Yeah.
Well, if you could perform one song that you love from Pink and give us a little bit of a snippet of how you go about singing this in your shower, what would it be?
All I know so far, because like I said, it's a really powerful song.
Go, sing it. Let me hear it.
Okay. Oh, let me just put my guitar down.
And this is how Julia Roome prepares when she's on the spot.
So I'm just going to sing like a little bit of the chorus.
Do it.
You throw your hand back and you spit in the wind. Let the walls crack, 'cause it lets the light in. You can drag on through hell. They can't tell you to change who you are. That's all I know so far.
You give me chills, baby. You give me chills.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Listen, that was the incredible Julia Roome. Thank you for coming on again. It was such a pleasure listening to your sweet, beautiful, gorgeous voice. I love you. I just want to take a bite out of you. All right, guys. Listen, Julia Roome, check her out. Go to her website, Julia Roome Sings. And remember, Room with an E. Check her out on the gram at Julia Roome. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
We are at the end of our date, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. or go to 710WOR.iheart.com/A Moment of Zen. Remember, we're now on TV. Download the KP Media TV app on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Droid TV, or tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch A Moment of Zen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes are also available on demand. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks, of course, to all of our sponsors. And remember, happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.